Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Girivara Dari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Sata Shri Mad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopna Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premananda, Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi Guru and Garanga in His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimati Bir. Sanikar Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading in the 10th canto, chapter 47, which is the Song of the Bee, and we're on text 27. Yeah. Sarvatma Bhavo Drikrito Bhavatinam Adokshaje Virahena Maha Bhaga Mahan Me Nugraha Kritaha Sarvatma Bhavo Dikrito Bhavatinam Adokshaje Virahena Mahabhaga Virahena Mahabhaga Mahane Nugraha Kritaha Sarvatma Bhavo Dikrito Bhavatinam Adokshaje Virahena Mahabhaga Mahan Me Nugraha Kritaha Sarvatma Bhavo Dikrito Bhavatinam Adokshaje Virahena Mahabhaga Mahan Me Nugraha Kritaha. Padma Bhavo Ikro Bhavatinam Adokshaje Virahena Mahabhaga Mahan Me Nugraha Kritaha Sarvatma Bhavo Dikrito Bhavatinam Adokshaje Virahena Mahabhaga Okay, word for word. Sarva Atma, wholehearted. Bhavaha, love. Adikritaha, claimed by right. Bhavatinam, by you. Adokshaje, for the Transcendental Lord. Virahena, through this mood of separation. Mahabhagaha, O most glorious ones. Mahan, great. Me, to me. Anugraha, mercy. Kritaha, done. Translation. You have rightfully claimed the privilege of unalloyed love for the Transcendental Lord, O most glorious gopis. Indeed, by exhibiting your love for Krishna in separation from him, you have shown me great mercy. So we can repeat. You have rightly claimed the privilege of unalloyed love for the Transcendental Lord, O most glorious gopis. Indeed, by exhibiting your love for Krishna in separation from him, You have shown me great mercy. So purport by the servants of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The gopis showed not only Uddhava, but the whole world the joy of love of Godhead, and thus they bestowed their mercy on everyone. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, because their loving devotion was executed in an appropriate way, their love brought the Supreme Lord under their control. Still, to show the intensity of their love, He apparently left them, but now He again manifested Himself among them, becoming spiritually present through their intense devotion. So, Omegyana Timidandasha Gananjana Shalaka Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, some amazing set of verses here where the gopis are experiencing this separation, and how fortunate we are to be able to observe this through the sharing of the acharyas of these pastimes. And just thinking about several different things in regard to this purport. I'll go ahead and read, but especially this first sentence, the gopis showed not only Uddhava, but the whole world the joy of love of Godhead. So we're getting to understand exactly what it means to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead and what that actually looks like. And, you know, just now coming for us, like what we will get to experience on some level, maybe not the same level as the gopis, but this love of God, where there's nothing else in their hearts and their minds and their words. You know, they're constantly chanting and remembering, you know, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, or shares in his commentary, how is it auspicious for you if you have given up wealth and family and accepted Krishna? Prema unto Krishna, who cannot be perceived by anyone's senses, is so much rarer than that. Really significant point. This is rare. Prema is extremely rare. But you have Mahabhav, and that bhav filled completely with its essential qualities, Sarvatma bhava. Just as the sun spreads to all by transference of heat, and the moon spreads itself to all people by transference of coolness, so Mahabhava spreads itself to all people by transference of its own nature. In this verse, the combination of the words Sarvatma, complete, and Bhava, emotion, reveals the characteristics of Mahabhava. Ujjwala Nilamani gives the definition of Mahabhava. When Anuraga, after Sneha, Pranaya, Mana, etc., attains state of being conscious of only itself, of its own taste, clearly manifests Sattvika Bhava symptoms and reaches its maximum possible state, it is called Mahabhava. When it reaches its maximum state, it is called Mahabhava. Ujjwala Nilamani 109. This Bhava or Mahabhava is the seventh manifestation of Prema. It manifests in you and in no one else, not even Lakshmi. What is it like? It is a special privilege or right which has been given by the Lord to you women alone and not given to anyone else. Adi Kritaha. By your manifestation of love and separation, you have been merciful to me, showing all the varieties within Mahabhava, such as Chitradalpa and Divyam Mada. If you had not experienced separation from Krishna, he would not have sent me here, and I would not have observed this great wonder. In this way, he describes the extent of his good fortune. This is Uddhava. So, and I was thinking too, relative to this, if you had not experienced the separation from Krishna, he would not have sent me here, and I would not have observed this great wonder, in connection with how much gratitude we should have for Srila Prabhupada bringing this process to, and us being able to participate in this process of Krishna consciousness. Because if he had not brought this Krishna consciousness, how would we even be able to have a life? You know, how would we be able to even, you know, get rid of all these unwanted things in our heart and truly become pure and have pure joy and pure happiness in our lives, right? Jiva Goswami shares the past participle, adikritaha, has a present meaning. You have all the bhavas up to Mahabhava. For the Lord, since you are complete, prema continually appearing is established, adikritaha, by you. That bhava appears everywhere, sarvatma. This meaning of atma is found in the following verse. Atatavachcha matritvad atmahi paramoharahi. The Lord is called Atma because he is all-pervasive, At, and is the source of everything, Ma. Sridhar Swami's commentary on Bhagavatam. That bhava for the Lord is controlled by you, since it is seen in you. Thus he is not far from you, O fortunate ones, Mahabhaga. Separation is external only. You should not absorb your minds in that. I think that separation has appeared externally in order to give mercy to me by showing the greatness of your prema. Virahena is the subject. Sanatana Goswami shares, then we should not be separated from him. That is true. This has been done to show the special attraction of bhakti. You have showed prema with separation to the Lord, who is beyond the senses, adokshaje, by concentrating all your senses on him. O most fortunate women, this is possible for you, most fortunate women, but not for others. You are more fortunate than all his other devotees. What to speak of Lakshmi? My master is controlled by you alone. You have shown me great mercy. Or, does this incredible, indescribable Mahabhava exist or not? Since it has not been seen or heard about, the devotees cannot believe in it. But today, directly experiencing it, I have developed a hope. You have shown me great mercy, or the Lord, by sending me here, has given me great mercy. So Omigyana Timirandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So there's a lot of things that went through my mind in reading this, and one of the first things that I was attracted to, especially in one of the commentaries, let me see if I can find it. Yep. Just as the sun spreads all transference of heat, and the moon spreads itself to all people by transference of coolness, so Mahabhav spreads itself to all people by transference of its own nature. And so this drew me into, and I guess because in yesterday's class, he was sharing about Sita Thakurani. And so there was this whole sharing around the relationship with Lord Chaitanya, and I thought this was really significant. And what I was drawn to is the Shikshastika, which I kind of wanted to go through in relationship to this spreading moon and the lotus flower of Krishna consciousness, and the various stages of, going from having our heart cleansed up to having and getting to that place where we're willing to let the Supreme Personality do anything and everything, no matter what it is, like this full surrender, and what that looks like, because that's what we have here, in the gopis, is this complete and full surrender. And some of the things that are, required. So I want to read the translation to the first shloka of the Sri Shikshastika. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. And so, thinking about this, and thinking about how this chanting is the key and is the door, and how it's the education, it's the life and soul of all education. And I was thinking that, these are the 8 shlokas from Lord Chaitanya himself, and Lord Chaitanya is in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And so her goal, her mood is to bring everybody to the loving feet of Krishna. That's her mood, is to want everybody to have this loving relationship with Krishna. And so we have Lord Chaitanya in this mood, who is none other than is Krishna in Srimati Radharani's mood of, love of Godhead, and how, this is the answer. It's the door. The chanting of the holy names is the door. So when we're chanting, and I've been thinking about this a lot of different things lately that have been going over in my mind, is how, excuse me, significant this chanting of the holy names is. Because we have these beads, we chant them every day, but how significant are they really in our minds and in our hearts? And I was thinking, because the other day I was going through, a very specific and challenging day, and I was thinking, really the only solution is to chanting, right? And so I was sitting there and I was looking at each bead, and I was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and going to the next bead and just saying, Krishna, please pull me towards you. Please pull me towards you. Please pull me towards you. Please let me love you the way you want to be loved, right? And every single bead is significant and challenging and bringing us closer and closer to Krishna, right? Each and every single bead. And that's the significance of this chanting, and that it will actually give us nectar and a cooling effect, because we're stuck in this material world, and there can be so much pain and so many challenges. But if we, with any and every challenge that we come close to, if we take these beads and this chant of the Maha Mantra and pull ourselves closer and closer to Krishna with each and every single bead and each and every single mantra, our life with Krishna will develop, and our heart will open up and reveal itself, that getting to our spiritual body, right? And purifying this body, so then you get to Shloka 2. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting. So, there's the key. If we're really not attached to this chanting, then there's offenses that are being made. So we have to be careful about that. Not obsessive, but try to pull ourselves back to remembering why we're chanting and who's there when we chant. And remember that you have invested all your potencies. All Krishna's potencies are contained within the holy name, right? So when we take those holy names and we chant them, understanding that, then we can become purified, and those qualities of Krishna, which we have all of Krishna's qualities present within us, then any covering can be removed, and we can become pure, and all those qualities will start to manifest, and then everything, no matter what it is, will still be happy internally, no matter what the external challenges are. And so you can see that in the first prayer, it's, the understanding that this chanting will cleanse the heart. And then as the heart gets cleansed, it's understanding, I'm so unfortunate. This humility starts to come in, right? That's what's required. Is this humility comes in and understands that I'm conditioned, I'm unfortunate, I'm committing offenses, and I'm attached. And then you go to the third verse, which is one who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, who does not expect personal honor, yet is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. So an explanation of, that if we're, again, emphasizing this humility, and that through humility the heart will open up and understand its position as the servant of the servant, and it will give all respects, not expecting it from others, and then we'll be actually able to chant the holy name and go deeper and deeper and deeper and closer and closer and closer to Krishna, right? And so then we get to the fourth verse. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife or husband, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service unto you. So again, here you can see the characteristics of and the result of chanting the holy name and this humility being present is that you go from, being attached to material things to not wanting to have any material things and wanting only unmotivated devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then once the heart's cleansed, it makes for pure chanting, and it destroys the false ego and all its companions, lust, anger, greed, all these things. And then you develop that unmotivated desire to keep going. And then Sloka 5, O my Lord, O Krishna, son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servant, but because of my own fruitive acts, I have fallen in this horrible ocean of nescience. Now please be causelessly merciful to me. Consider me a particle of dust at your lotus feet. And so again, you see the deeper and deeper the level of humility and taking responsibility for your actions, and then asking for that mercy and begging for the mercy, so that we can understand what our position is just, consider me even a particle of dust at your lotus feet. So, not thinking that we're, great devotees or, that we need to be a gopi or that we need to be anything. Just let me be this atomic particle at your lotus feet, right? And then in Shloka 6, my dear Lord, when will my eyes be beautified by filling with tears and that constantly glide down as I chant your holy name? When will my voice falter and all the hairs on my body stand erect in transcendental happiness as I chant your holy name? So this desire grows, this desire to be of service, this desire to want to serve and to love Krishna the way that he wants deepens and goes deeper and deeper, and it starts to have this expressiveness within the heart, right? As we go deeper and deeper into being the servant of the servant of the servant and become more and more and more humble, that starts to express itself within the heart. And this feeling of lacking and deep hankering and loyum to be with the Supreme Lord and wanting to be able to have spiritual expressions and these spiritual emotions of being connected to Krishna, right? And so then we go to Shloka 7, which is, my Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world is void. So this, again, this deep mood of separation goes even deeper and increases. And it's, not on us, but actually by Krishna's divine will, which we also saw in the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and which he was talking is that this heat and the moon, the sun and the moon, and the transference of this coolness, Mahabhav, spreads itself to all people by transference of its own nature and its own will. All of this comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead's will, Krishna's will. And then the lessening of our material attachments happen, and we have to make room for that. And the way that we make room for that is the chanting of the holy names. That's what wipes away the heart. It cleanses all the dust of material existence, all the misunderstandings, all the, madness and material consciousness that we have. And so at this stage, we actually start to see who we are spiritually and who we aren't materially, right? And those spiritual emotions start to present themselves. And then in Shloka 8, let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet. Let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is a debauchee after all, and can do whatever he likes, but he is still no one other than the worshipable Lord of my heart. And so, of course, this is the highest level of what the gopis experience. And as I was thinking about this, and the realization that I had about it was that finally that we're completely given to Krishna, and that we're stepping into this flowing river of his love, and there's all these ebbs and flows and waves of expression, but there's this full surrender. It's letting go of wanting to hold on to anything, any attachment on the edge of the river, and just completely stepping into it and being pulled into it and all of its emotions and love of Krishna, and just being carried by that. Not worrying about, what about I have to take care of this on the bank? What if I have to take care of that on the bank? What if I have to, do this or that? It's just a complete full surrender and letting go in that flow of love of Krishna. And all of this, we can see in the gopis, and we can see in Lord Chaitanya, who is in Srimati Radharani's mood of sharing this. I mean, it's not something that they keep to themselves. They give it and want to give it to all living entities. And you could see that with Srila Prabhupada as well. It's just, overwhelming the... because the other thing that develops, and it's something my spiritual masters talked about quite often, is, how to develop, this compassion through association. But this compassion is something else that develops when you start to go deeper and deeper into your Krishna conscious. The heart can't help but be compassionate towards other living entities. And that starts to become fully expressed. And you want other people not to suffer, not to be in pain, mentally or physically, spiritually. You want them to be satisfied and at peace, and so this chanting is that which carries this, and carries us to that place and other people. And again, meditating on this, because one of the things that and that I've shared a couple of times, and that I continue to share, is this love of Krishna. And how do we do this? I mean, after practicing for 20 years, I'm still asking myself this question, and had the realization of, I only know how to love materially. I want something in return. I'm looking, previously looking for the great love of my life, right? And wanting, to have that great love to be able to experience something for myself. But, it's like, and I asked my spiritual master, but I want to learn how to love Krishna the way he wants to be loved. How do I do that? How do I love him without thinking about what I'm going to get out of it, right? And his simple answer was association. And it just blew me away. It was like, we practice Krishna consciousness, and we hear things over and over again, and then, every once in a while, when we're fortunate, it lands, right? Because we're, oh, duh, right, I get it. And, and I realized, the value of association. And an association isn't just somebody standing in front of you and you're having a conversation with them. Association is the prasadam, spiritually offered, purified food stuff that you take into your body. Association is association with the devotees. It's reading Srila Prabhupada's books. It's chanting of the Maha Mantra, having topics of Krishna Katha, doing your devotional service, thinking about Krishna. All these things are association. The things you input into the body is your association. The things you take closely. It's not just having a conversation because, we're told not to associate with non-devotees. It's what you take into your heart, right? That's association. And so it was just so significant. And what he was saying is that associate with the pure devotee, the people that have that compassion, that have that attachment to the chanting of the holy name, that have that love for Krishna. Associate with them, and then that rubs off on you. But do it constantly, right? Constantly find ways to have that level of association. So that ultimately we can share that love with others, right? Because that's the thing is, to develop that, not just to keep it for ourselves, to get the benefit, and the results for ourselves, but, to share that and give that to others, and in a way, that can benefit others. And I was actually reading the Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and there are some really amazing points. I was going through it, and my spiritual master has these thought for the days, but every sentence I was reading was a thought for the day. It's just so significant. And what I really appreciate about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's expression in his writing is he makes it very down to earth and personal. And it's, very philosophical, obviously, at the highest level, but it's very personally, easily in layman terms, understandable, right? So, I want to see if I can, there's a good bit that was, I don't know, there was just so much that he was offering. I may have lost the page. Although people in various countries on various continents have a wide variety of natures, the underlying principal nature is one. Only the secondary characteristics are of great variety. Thus, though the principal nature is one, one will find two people in the world who have identical not find two people in the world who have identical secondary qualities. Since even twins have some difference in bodily form and personal qualities, one should not expect that people born in different countries could ever be the exact same qualities. Different countries have different water, air, mountains, forest, food, and clothing. As a result, the people of these diverse places have naturally developed different physiques, complexions, customs, clothing, and diet. Similarly, the mentality of the people will be at variance. Therefore, the idea of God of various people, although basically similar, will differ in detail. When the inhabitants of various countries surpass the uncivilized stage and progress to the civilized stage, the scientific stage, the moral stage, and then the devotional stage, they will concordantly develop differences in language, dress, food, and mentality. This gives rise to variety in the mode of worship of God. Considering the matter objectively, there is no harm in secondary differences. If there is agreement concerning the essential nature of God and his worship, there should be no obstacle in attaining the same result. Mahaprabhu therefore has instructed that we should teach everyone to worship the pure form of the Lord, but at the same time, we should not criticize one another's mode of worship. As a result of the above reasons, we see the following diversity amongst the religions of various countries. The difference of teachers and prophets, a difference in the mentality and expression of reverence by worshippers, a difference in the procedures of worship and ritual, a difference in the conception of God, and a difference in the name and statements of God because of the variation in language. So, concerning the different expressions of reverence, in India, he's given examples. For example, in India, the worshipper sits on an asana after performing Nyasa and pranayama begins his worship. The Muslim faces towards Mecca and worships 5 times a day by bowing down. The Christian kneels down with folded hands and with humility praises the Lord in either a church or house. Each country has its particular religious rules concerning proper dress, food, purity, and impurity. If one examines the different religions, one will notice different rituals. One will also discover different conceptions concerning the object of worship. Some people, overcome with devotion in their hearts, establish the form of the Lord in their soul, in their mind, and finally in the external world. Understanding that such a deity form is non-different from the Lord within, they worship that deity form. In some religions, because of a great emphasis on logic, the worshiper will simply forms a conception of God within the mind and worships this conception. Such a worshiper does not accept the external deity form of God. In reality, however, all these conceptions of the forms of the Lord are forms of the Lord. According to the variation in language, the diverse religions address God by different names. The religions, and this is reminding me of the Shikshastika, the Lord has different names, and the religions themselves have different names, and the languages used during worship are also different. Because of the above 5 differences, it is only natural that the various religions will appear quite different. However, it is improper and detrimental to argue over these differences. If one goes to another place of worship, one should think, the people here are worshiping my Lord in a different way. Because of my different training, I cannot properly comprehend this system of worship. However, through this experience, I can deepen my appreciation for my own system of worship. The Lord is only one, not 2. Therefore, I offer my respect to the form I see here and pray to the Lord in this new form, that he may increase my love for him in the form to which I am accustomed. Those who do not follow this procedure, but instead criticize other systems of worship and show